Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio is a science fiction epic military book. This is the one that found success way later than publication. Sometimes a book will just explode on BookTube or BookTalk. This is a military sci-fi series that exploded to the point where people couldn't get it off Amazon. They needed to do reprintings, and the library didn't have enough copies. But this is about Hadrian Marlowe. He is a recounting why everyone regards him as the enemy of humanity. A very intriguing starting point. He's prisoner somewhere and recounting his story from the very beginning when he was a young boy. And we quickly introduce what kind of family life he had and what he aspires to be. However, things don't go as planned, and he ends up stranded on a sort of other world where he has to fend for himself and basically become homeless, find allies, and eventually find his way into the fighting pits, because some planets have a sort of Roman-inspired Colosseum where you fight each other and bash each other's brains in, and he has to hide his genetic legacy from people who would exploit it, and eventually he finds himself on a seafaring voyage to deal with an alien threat that's sort of nipping at the edges of the galaxy of certain star systems. So this is a very engaging science fiction book. Really long audiobook at 26 hours. However, I took it down relatively quickly. I wanted to get into it. It was very absorbing and interesting, because we do get the sort of intrigue of him talking about this story, recounting it, because he's done something major that we're going to get to. But this whole book feels like a prologue. So by the end of it, you're not going to get the bit large event that would have him be labeled as the enemy of humanity. It sort of ends on a somewhat of a cliffhanger, but it has a lot of engaging characters and development and world building, the sort of class system of sorts, and then of course the interesting aliens. They're called the Pale, or the Cielsen. They eat people and themselves, and they're very nomadic and have ships, but they're very mysterious origin, and there's some little tidbits of interesting things like technology and world building and things that are alluded to that you won't really get the answer to in the first book. But overall, it's a really strong story, very ambitious. It'll be very large, and they also keep in the sort of what's it called, the distortion when you travel by space flight. Obviously, when you leave star systems, a lot of time goes by. So essentially, if you're ever leaving a planet, you're basically leaving everyone behind, because there could be a time jump of like 30 years and you'll never see your family again. And that's kind of realistic with the way it works. But, you know, there isn't much in terms of space battles. It's more of a rags to riches sort of story, getting to, you know, being at the mercy of others with power and things like that. There's lots of corruption and weird little facets of the society that they all live on in different planets. So I like that a lot. Empire of Silence isn't completely satisfying, because you don't get all of the juicy explanation for the stuff that's introduced, but it's a very engaging story, and I liked it. I'll definitely continue reading the book series. So I give Empire of Silence a 4 out of 5.